Hello, fellow Fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Film Fumblers Show, the podcast where four friends fumble through your favorite films. Today we are reviewing Dune, a movie released in 2021 and directed by Denis Villeneuve. Without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Taryn.
What's up? It's James.
What's up? It's Alonso.
Yeah, special guest Alonso.
Hi, Alonso.
I thought your pronunciation was enough.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I hope it was. Enough. Yeah,
You attempted it, and
that's B
fine.
minus. That's fine with me.
Look, dude. As someone with a fucking confusing long ass last name, have empathy in my heart. You know.
Yeah.
Your last name is difficult to pronounce. So we're recording this on Sunday now, so we're switching to Sundays. So follow us on twitch.tv/filmfumblers, turn on notifications. We're going to be going live around 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So hopefully we can stick to the schedule a little bit more.
Yeah.
Weekends, good vibes.
More comfortable. We got the weekends off. We can do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And cheers to an excuse to drink at 2 on a Sunday.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Wow.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Well, cheers to that.
All right, Dune.
Yes. We're finally doing Dune.
We're finally doing Dune.
Dune,
Came out.
Dune.
Not Dune.
When did it come out? Like a month ago? It's been out for a little bit.
3-4 weeks. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
About a month. Who has seen the original? What is it? 1980 something? 84. How awful was that? Because all I've heard about it is just terrible.
Nah.
And I'm curious to see how it's like how this movie is, just the perception of this movie, and then that one, because I know that one's just awful.
Okay, it's a David Lynch movie, so I should kind of tip you off. What up, Nader? Protect Future Hop. So I think it's David Lynch, so you kind of know what you're gonna get from the David Lynch side of stuff, right? Like it's gonna be weird. Look weird. The main thing about that movie is like they tried to cram the whole first novel into that movie, and it's like 2 hours 15, I want to say, something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas with this movie, it's half the book, roughly.
Yeah, that was a smart way to go about it.
I think so. One of the complaints, it's hard for me to say, okay, because I read the book before I ever watched the Lynch movie. So a lot of people say that it's incomprehensible without reading the book. I don't know. I made
Well, that's the thing, right?
So that
there was
brings us into...
Oh, just real quick on the Lynch thing. Isn't that why it's so bad? Is because there was such heavy studio involvement. They changed so much shit without and re-edited it.
So they did a re-edit for TV, I guess. It was longer. It was 3 hours. They put in this narration.
Oh boy.
So they did something.
Oh wow.
So it I've never seen that, but from what I've heard, it's cheesy. The narration is super cheesy and trying to explain everything. And so I don't know. I didn't think it was a great movie. There are parts of it that's come off as pretty cheesy. It's like Kyle MacLachlan's first movie, the guy, the detective from Twin Peaks. And then there's other weird choices. And that stings randomly in the movie. And there's a bunch of other stuff like that, right? But it's not if you were to watch it after watching this version of Dune, I think you could appreciate it for what it is. And there's some real weirdness that works, and there's weirdness that doesn't,
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say is this movie, I mean, I have no idea anything about the Dune universe. And I felt like I could follow it along relatively easily. It wasn't I wasn't completely out of the loop. Did you guys feel?
I felt the same way. I mean, there's a lot of different houses that you have to learn about right away.
Yeah.
And then the first 30 minutes of the movie, there's 45 different ships that like arrive and like descend from different planets, and you're kind of like, okay, all right, but like it doesn't get that confusing, really.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, so what
yeah.
about the terms? Like, this is what I'm thinking, because you guys haven't read the book and all that stuff, though. Or I think James, you're starting to read the book. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, I'm not too far in, but
Okay. There's a lot of terminology. That's one thing I just this like last walkthrough or this last watch. I was just like, yeah, there's like the Muad'Dib, right, which is the name of the mouse, um,
Oh.
the kangaroo mouse. There's the Lisan al Gaib, right, which is the name that the Fremen give to the prophet or the Messiah, and then they're constantly referring to that. There's the Bene Gesserit, right? There's the Gom Jabbar, which is wait, I'm sorry, it's a needle,
oh
right? The
yeah,
needle that they use during that test
yeah,
they
Yeah.
have Paul do. There's House Atreides, there's Harkonnen. There's the Emperor, there's the Emperor's guards. What the hell are they called? I can't remember.
Oh, that like
Special
Sardaukar?
Force.
yeah.
Sardaukar, yeah, that's right. The Sardaukar,
Yeah.
the like crazy extra soldiers for the Emperor.
Yeah, that's that
Stormtroopers.
army, right?
Dude, what was with like all the crazy names and then the main characters just basic
Paul.
ass Paul? It's
Yeah.
like,
Jessica.
what? Like he ran out of juice, like naming all kinds of other crazy shit. He's just like, oh, this is Paul here, and this is his mom, Jessica. Like, what?
I mean,
It's like-
you know, Paul's the main character, right? Like you're supposed to try to identify with him. Like
I
if he
see,
had, like
yeah.
if he was named like some weird ass shit, like it's harder to identify with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but I get what you're saying. I mean, because like even the Duke is Leto, right? Which
Yeah.
isn't it's
Which
not
is like cooler, like sci-fi ear.
cooler.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it's not a common name. It's
Yeah.
not like Joe Blow or whatever, right? Like or John or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's one to me where I feel like maybe someone that doesn't know anything about anything would be like, "What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does this mean? What the fuck does this mean?"
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
but I was gonna say I'm glad they didn't like fucking dumb it down.
Right,
honestly.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
glad they didn't like. There was only a couple moments where I even noticed like a little bit of exposition, and like I felt like the exposition right at the beginning, right at the very very beginning, was brief and it was just enough.
Just enough. Yeah.
yeah.
That's where they're kind of explaining like this is what spice is. It's very valuable, gets people high, but we need it like that.
Yeah.
That whole
Yeah.
thing.
But like the
Yeah.
proper
I was like, okay,
noun
that's all I
thing-
really need to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the proper noun thing, like that's why I bounced off the book so fast. I was like, I can't keep up with all these words that have like 4 A's in them, and like I don't know what the fuck's going on. But hearing them in the movie, I want to try reading it again because I actually like
Yeah.
know what it sounds like and can say
Right.
them in my head
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Yeah.
So in the chat they're saying, is it Harkonnen or Harkonnen?
Harkonnen
I
sounds
think it's
cooler.
pronounced Harkonnen in the movie, right? Or was it
In-
Cone?
in-
Or
no,
Conan?
well, okay. So for sure in the David Lynch movie, it's Harkonnen. But I don't know.
I think it might be
Bounce-
Harkonnen, but
I just bounce back and forth. I don't know.
Potato,
It's never
potato.
specified. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. But yeah, I mean, like I get pissed off at some of these big like movies that are like supposed to be popcorn movies that are kind of about heavy shit when they over explain shit. Like
Yeah.
the one I always think of is the Nolan movie with the dreams.
Inception.
Inception.
Every
That
Nolan
one
movie.
Every Nolan movie.
You know what? I'll tell you what. There's a Nolan movie that doesn't have it. It's the war movie, Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Oh,
Oh, right.
No exposition, barely any dialogue in there, and that's actually kind of cool. But you're right though. Like it's Nolan. Like he's just gonna sit down and explain every little bit of it to you, to your
Yeah.
dumbass that can't follow the plot, right? Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they don't do that, and that's cool, despite the fact that the shit is not easy to understand or wrap
Yeah,
your head around.
I feel like, and they really did a good job like giving it to the fans. The only like real like the first beginning of like the book starts off with the test where he has his hand in the box, and I think if that was like the intro scene, I think you would have lost a lot of people who are
Oh,
like
yeah.
trying to get into it. So like they did a little bit for both audiences. I thought they were fine with the fans. but they were like, okay, let's just give just a little bit to help people along
I
the
feel
way.
like they
That
introed
was
all the different shit really good before that. Like you're saying how it starts like that, like their intros and stuff before that were like so perfect, I think.
Yeah. And I think that was the box scene. I'm pretty sure that was the first scene that they shot, right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Which probably set the tone for like just the entire production. Like, okay, like we know how the actors like Timothée Chalamet is really, really working on that scene. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
definitely.
thing we watched. Did you watch that? Like,
I did. Yeah, I watched it this
60-minute?
morning.
It was.
Yeah,
So good.
It's like so intense. Like, I don't know. I couldn't imagine like you cast like these people and you're just like, fuck.
Let's
It's
hope
coming
it-
down to
yeah.
it, and then you're like kind of nervous. You're like,
Yeah.
is this gonna work out? And then like they just blow it out of the water, and you're just like, damn, it's got to be such a like rewarding experience. Like
Yeah.
when you
Mhm.
see like your work come together, but also like sharing it with like your team. You know?
Yeah,
kind of
Fuck.
Yeah.
But we're talking about it's a video I think from Variety. I don't know. Denny, the director, is going through that scene and like detailing everything, and it's really fucking
It's
cool.
really
Check
good.
it
Yeah,
out.
he like talks a lot about how he made a conscious decision to not use any CG for like the box glowing or doing any crazy shit, and left it just up. I think he called it like a mantle, where it was just the actors, you know, kind of telling the story through their acting. And it such a good idea, or good choice, because if there was CG and stuff, it would have really made it kind of cheesy. And
So
like,
clearly better for me was this scene than the Lynch movies version.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
the Comme Jabbar.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought that this one was executed beautifully. Like even when the Reverend Mother uses the voice and calls him, and the way that was edited was really slick, right? So like she uses the voice, and then all of a sudden he's on his knees.
Yeah.
You don't see
they
see
kind
any
of do that in this. Like
Well-
it shows a weird fade, and he just like slides almost. Like,
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. That's what I was talking about. This version of the scene, this movie,
It's better than
I thought
Lynch.
it was. Better
oh,
for
okay.
sure.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you
I
meant
thought
the
it was
Lynch
You
one
said
was
I
better.
think you said the other way around, but
Sorry,
yeah.
my bad,
I was like,
my bad.
that's impressive. Because,
No. I thought this version of it was better. I thought it was like immaculately like edited, and the acting was great, and hey, props to Chalamet. Like I've seen him in this, and I saw him in The French Dispatch. Both like great performances. Pretty fucking. I guess I'm
solid
not. Solid actor. Great acting all around. Is there a bad acting performance in this movie?
I don't.
Is there one that
think
stood
so.
out?
There's
No.
some parts that are cheesy. I think was it Batista's kind of cheesy a little bit.
Batista's kind of always a little cheesy.
But he's always kind of
to be fair.
cheesy.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like the very last line of the movie, Timothée Chalamet's like, desert power. And I was like, that was like the cheesiest thing I fucking heard. I was just like, that's kind of.
That's Oscar Isaac.
I
says
can't.
it, too.
Yeah, it sounds cooler when he
Oscar
says
Isaac says
it,
it, too.
but not that much
Yeah.
cooler.
Yeah, desert power. I was just like, okay, dude. How did you feel about like well, you said that. I mean, the acting was good in that scene, but like in the book, like I don't know, you feel like what's the Bene Gesserit, the Reverend Mother,
Yeah.
and her relationship with Jessica. Like you see that there's a lot of love there. In the movie, I feel like it's so harsh. It's like it feels like they're at odds, but
Yeah,
like
Jessica's like terrified of her in the movie.
yeah, but like you can tell they have deep like respect for each other, and it's a lot more like a family. It feels more like loving. In the movie, I feel like it's a little dull. Like there's not enough between the characters. They feel everyone feels like fucking sad and evil, like dark. Like I don't know, but the book feels more natural. I guess.
I think that you're right. You're right that like in this movie, a lot of the relationships, even I would say the relationship between Paul and what's Leto's right hand man who's like who kind of
the
steps
computer
in
guy.
The Mentant, whatever.
The guy played by
Jason Momoa?
no, not Jason Momoa, but like the other guy.
Thanos.
Thanos.
Oh,
Gurney.
Brolin,
Gurney.
Josh Brolin.
Gurney.
Yeah, I thought their relationship in the book is a lot, again, also a lot warmer and a lot closer.
Yeah.
Right. And like, but okay. So here's the thing, right? Is I understand why. The thing is, if you read the whole book and and then I've never read the sequels, which I'm kind of ashamed of because I love the book so much, but I've just never gotten around to reading the sequels, right?
Yeah.
But if the Benny Gesserit are like kind of fucked up. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
they're like kind of secretly controlling all sorts of
Everything.
things,
Well, there's like
conspiring
this
against.
giant thing of selective breeding that they're doing, right? To like create what Paul is. Well, what Paul is
Prophet or
potentially
whatever,
becoming, the
yeah.
prophet. Yeah. So
Right.
it's some sketchy shit. But I
Yeah.
think to touch on what you were saying, James, is like the relationship between Jessica and what was her name again?
Reverend Mother.
Reverend Mother.
Hmm.
I feel like it did feel cold for sure, but I think
Yeah.
mostly that probably came off because she was sending her son, whom she loves dearly, like in to potentially die. Like if he
Yeah.
didn't pass the test, like he was gonna be killed. And
But
she kind of knew that, and there was that like really intense,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think I don't know. So what the book does like differently, obviously books do this, is you get the thoughts of every single character.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
know their intentions, you know all their feelings. And that, I mean, you can't do that in a movie because it would just
Right.
be trash. It would
Yeah.
be weird.
Yeah.
Well,
Inner
okay.
monologue
So weird.
forever. Yeah.
Monologue.
So funny you mentioned that, James. Right? If you watch the Lynch movie, one of the kind of I think controversial parts of it are that there's a lot of inner monologue.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Mm.
Like
I can
you,
see how that would be
there's like camera on a face, no moving lips, and just
Oh man.
what they're thinking at various parts,
Yeah.
right? And like the whole like
Oh, it's
tooth
so
thing,
cheesy.
the whole like tooth thing, right? In the Lynch, is like he's like thinking the tooth, right? He's like thinking, and you just see the inner monologue, right?
Mm.
So be careful what you wish for, right? Like because
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I don't think it works.
I don't want it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's lost in. I mean, acting can only do so much. I think, in my opinion,
Yeah.
like when you have the source material there, it's painting the picture for you
Yeah.
verbatim. It's
Yeah.
showing you everything.
I think
Right.
everyone should read the book. I mean, the book is so beautiful. Like, it's easy to read. It's science fiction, easy to read. I don't know. It's just for me, like when I found it in my like town library when I was growing up. Like,
Yeah.
again, this really dates me, but like I had a town library and I went to the town library and that's how I read most books. But when I found it and I started reading it, it was just such a pleasure. And I've come back to it every like I don't know, once in a while. It's been a while though since I read it the last time. I think I was still in my 20s last time I read it. But it's like it's really beautiful and easy to read too. It's not like some boring, dull ass like description of spaceships and shit like that. It's really like entertaining, and once you start reading it, you just go.
Yeah, I definitely want to try
Yeah.
reading it again after
Yeah.
seeing this.
I want to finish reading it and then I want to watch it. So like me and Adrian, we watched it at home, right? We didn't get
Yeah. I watched it at home.
we didn't get the IMAX experience, which was probably like, I mean, it's obviously a fail on our part, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just like watching movies with fucking subtitles, man.
I do
Super.
too. I do too. And
And
yeah,
then
it's
of
so
course
bad.
you got the IMAX blasting your fucking eardrums out, so
Right.
maybe I don't need subtitles if I
One
can
thing
just hear it
that
in 3D
so
sound.
yeah, one of my coworkers, Brian, he's really into Dune and like into the books and stuff. And he was telling me about the theater experience and that like when they use the voice, like the first time that the voice is used,
Oh
it just
yeah, for
shakes
sure,
your
It's
being
so
and you're just
good.
like,
for sure.
yeah. And I'm like, my sound system here is like decent, but I mean it wasn't,
Yeah.
it's not
The
IMAX.
the landing on Arrakis by the Sardaukar and the Harkonnens like
Hmm.
in IMAX was like, outrageously beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like one of those moments where you're like, wow, how epic this is, how beautiful it
Yeah,
looks,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and how well done and how well crafted, and yeah, you should definitely check out that variety video with the director because um, what you realize, and it's not something I realized brand new, but every single detail of every single frame was thought through and was very intentional.
Yeah.
You know, the design of the box, right? The
Yeah.
design of the costumes, the lighting, right? Like everything, you know, like the needle itself, right? Like the
Yeah.
The way her
inscription on the
hand
needle.
is on it. Like, oh,
Yeah, that
Ev-
weird
Every
thing.
single piece of it
Yeah.
is very, very thought through. And yeah, I mean, I think ideally the ideal experience is like in an IMAX, but you know, I watch it on my, actually, I hate to say this, I watch it on my phone
Oh God.
in the
it's the way he
morning
wanted
in
you to watch
bed,
it.
lazing around on Sunday. No, I watch it in IMAX too, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I watched it on my phone this morning and
Yeah.
it was cool, you know, it was cool. I
Yeah.
wanted to refresh my memory, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, I got something for you guys.
What's up?
Hit me.
Tatooine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tatooine,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's the desert planet, right? In Star Wars,
Star
where
Wars.
Luke Skywalker, where Obi-Wan lives, right? Where Luke Skywalker gets stashed away as a baby. All right, okay. Um, twin suns in Tatooine,
Uh-huh.
twin moons in Arrakis, right? Sandworms in Arrakis, that weird monster that ends
Oh,
up
what is it
eating like
called?
Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt.
Sarlacc. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sarlacc, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the voice, the Force,
Of course.
Benny Gesserit, the Jedi,
The Jedi.
Maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
at some
Yeah.
level, they use the voice, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jedi mind tricks.
The one that will come and
The
Take
the
chosen one.
Emperor, right? The
Jesus
chosen
Christ.
one that will come,
Right?
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
the chosen one. See, okay, all right. From what I know about what like the novel was based on, this is more actually like the story of Muhammad and
Oh.
less story of Christ. But I mean, all these stories have a lot of overlap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, you know, Star Wars and that all that mythology doesn't happen without Dune. There's no doubt
way,
about
dude.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, so many parallels, and it's not just Star Wars. I mean, you look at so many of these things, right? And like, okay, so here's another interesting thing, right? It's like, okay, so if you know anything about like the origins of Islam, Muhammad, right? So Muhammad, he has this vision in the desert, right? He starts this religion. It's with family and friends, and then he's persecuted by the leaders in Mecca, and then kicked out of Mecca. And so he goes. It's called the Hijra. He goes to Medina, which is another city, right? And they welcome him because the people in Medina, are expecting a prophet.
Ah.
Okay, and they're expecting a prophet to come and lead them, right?
So
And so
the free
he
man or
goes.
whatever.
No future spoilers. I don't know where you're going, but just in case. I
No
only know
future
this
spoilers,
movie.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
well, anyway, so he goes to Medina, and then you'll see in the second movie, and you'll see in the rest of the novel, and you'll see in the sequels, like that there's a very like specific parallel, like between the return to Mecca, right, and then all this other stuff, right? So
That's cool.
it's really cool, and like I've heard this criticism a lot of Dune, where it's like, oh, it's like a white man savior thing. And, like I think on some level, I'm sure, of course, there's like some of that, but on another level, I think it's actually really paralleling the story of Muhammad for real.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
And it's actually really interesting and cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting. For me, I was drawing parallels between, I mean, yeah, Star Wars, of course, but when I was reading the book, it's very J.R.R. Tolkien-esque. It's very Lord of the Ringsy because they have poems, they have songs, like in the first few chapters, and that's like a huge Tolkien thing. And then it reminded me of Game of Thrones, which that's obviously a rip off of Lord of the Rings too, right? all these houses,
The
and
houses,
stuff,
yeah.
all these houses, and just like tons of stuff like that, and made up names, languages, and all this shit. So yeah, those are the parallels I drew. But I mean, yeah, Star Wars is cool. So is Dune. I don't know. I think it's
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
coexist. Yeah.
There's no doubt. I
they
mean,
live together.
like, I mean, we could go and say like, hey, Dune's ripping off like the Quran. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No.
Dune.
Nader said, "Damn, Islam out here plagiarizing." Like, shit.
Right? I mean,
As
like,
if
we could
Dune
say
is
that.
the ground.
Well, I just feel like, you know, all these kind of epic stories, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you read your Joseph Campbell, whatever, like they have a lot of the same stuff in them that's kind of repeated over and over and over again. And that's why they connect with people
Shakespeare
over
too,
the course
right?
of time. Yeah, it's
Like
all
it's
this,
all Shakespearean soap opera drama shit. Right?
you know, it's a lot of the same stuff. So here's an interesting thing. I didn't know this until like, so there's this like cool video on YouTube that's like a chronology of Dune,
Mm.
and like, but not Dune the book, but actually the whole saga,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Everything
Yeah.
when people were still on Earth, right? Because this is
Oh,
actually
wow.
something that all this stuff takes place in the far
Oh,
future, supposedly,
wow.
right? And there's apparently in between the beginning of that and the events of this movie and the first Dune novel, they have a jihad. They call it a jihad. By the way, I don't. You'll notice that there's a ton of Arabic terminology used all over here.
Yeah.
They have a jihad against all the robots and
Right.
artificial intelligence. So that's why
They
you
kind
don't
of
see
mentioned that. Yeah.
you don't see any of that stuff in this book because like thousands of years ago they basically exterminated all of them.
Banned
Yeah.
all like computers and shit. That's the coolest fucking
Isn't that
detail, dude.
crazy?
I love that.
Except for
Yeah.
like the mentants, right? Like those are sort of like cyborgish human things, right?
Yeah,
Or
so
no?
I don't know. I honestly don't know too much about that. So, but I was like going through that chronology and I was like, wow. And you know, it's interesting because like, do you ever think of that too much?
Yeah,
Like, wow,
that's
there's no computers around here. What's going on? Like,
Yeah, it felt weird
You
when
know?
he had the little projector thing. I was like, whoa, that's like very different than everything else. You know what I mean? Like it feels more
right.
techy than all the other shit. Even like the ships are like toggles and switches and you know, I don't
The
know.
shield, like I mean, in terms of like the tech, it's like the ships, the shield, interstellar travel, right?
Yeah.
Fueled by the spice. By the way, spice. What is the spice? What is the allegory? What is the spice actually?
I don't know,
Was
but I
it-
think we all tried spice in high school, and it was just
That's that oil. I didn't. Fuck.
I did not. I have not.
Yeah,
you
no.
know, that's past my time, dude. Sorry.
Can I go back? The mentat was a profession or disciple that was developed as a replacement to the computers and thinking machines.
Okay.
Is that like the old guy with his eyes go up into his head to think?
Yeah.
he
That's
calculates
fucking
things.
sick.
Yeah,
God damn.
that was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Nader says spice can confirm spice made me want to wage war. I love it. Spice
Yeah.
is oil. Yes.
Yeah,
Randy.
so spice.
is
That's I
oil.
think that's what they
That's
did like a great job at explaining, and you kind of really just understood right away. Like, spice is the oil. It's very valuable, but it's also a drug that many people are addicted to, and it gives you all of these like, you know, heightened
Yeah.
sense of awareness and all of this kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
you really understood that, and that this is the planet that has it, and so like, who's control of this planet is like has the money.
Yeah. Oh, holy shit, dude. Are you seeing okay, the new League of Legends Arcane is out
Mhm.
and we've been
Yeah.
watching it. They have like a similar kind of drug that people use in it. Holy
That's
fuck.
Oh, whoa!
That's
Everything's
crazy.
Damn.
Shit.
So that's probably like a Dune reference, man. Whoa,
Yeah.
sick. Sorry, I just had to say it before I
No, no,
forgot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, good. When
That's
you were
good.
talking about the mentats, I mean, you know, it's like in Fallout, that's like a
Yeah, that's a drug, isn't it?
it's a drug you can pick up
Yeah.
and use. Mentats.
Oh, okay.
Just side
Huh.
note. But yeah. So anyway, but yeah, it's the oil and like so. Okay, well, so it's like a combination of oil, but also like a little bit of LSD. Like this was
Right.
the '60s, right? Like so, like
Like the
This is
Middle East
when it
is
was
like
written.
known for like what, opium, right? Poppy and stuff like that.
That's more like Afghanistan, but like,
Oh,
but,
okay.
but I think so. When it was written, this was like it was written in the mid '60s, right? This is like right when people were discovering and making
And, yeah,
making LSD, right?
and
like
prescribing it
experimenting with
to
LSD.
everyone, like
Yeah,
running them off.
And if you want to get into some other shit, possibly the government experimenting on soldiers with LSD and all
Right.
sorts of other things. But
Mhm.
yeah, so it's like kind of this weird combination, I think, of yeah, like it's like if you fused oil and LSD together and then also made it addictive, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oil
Yeah.
that made you high, got you high.
Oil that made you high and then you need it all the time,
That
right?
hash oil, dude.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like yeah, the whole idea of the spice and then like the way the spice makes their eyes blue,
That was
right?
cool. Yeah.
I
Everyone who had blue eyes, it was so like they were like piercingly blue.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
very, surreal, like sci-fi.
And so like there was like the difference between the people who were using spice for like longevity of life versus the Freemans use it as like a religious like thing, right?
And they're probably
Or
breathing it in all the
did I
time
miss?
too.
Oh, and
Yeah.
breathing it in all the time. So they're just fucking tripping balls their entire lives. It's like, damn, bro. Like,
I mean, it's kind of like I mean, it's like hippies in the desert in this. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
like they live nomadic lives, right? Like
yeah.
nomadic tribes in like Arabia and
Mhm.
yeah, no, there's a lot of it's not one thing or the other, right? It's a lot of these different ideas like kind of fused into together or expressed in different ways. It's kind of that's to me that's the richness of this book, right? Is like it just takes all these different ideas and kind of combines them in this way, and then sort of adds this like layer of sort of soap opera, like court
Mhm.
dynasty kind of soap opera type shit. Um, so yeah. Man, Nader's just like straight dropping knowledge. Like we should
Yeah.
fucking like have him on here.
He's like saying a bunch of shit that I've been forgetting about, like the
So the
Jessica
tooth,
obsession and shit like that.
the tooth.
That was fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was such a cool
Can you remind me of the tooth again? What was that?
Okay.
the
So
poison, like
the doctor, right? The doctor
Oh
makes
yeah,
the
yeah,
deal
okay.
with the
Yeah,
Baron,
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
okay. Yeah.
But then he's still loyal to the Duke. He was basically forced to sell
right.
out the Duke, right? So what does he do? He's trying to protect his son and
His
Jessica.
wife, right? Oh,
And
the
right, so
Duke.
he's trying to say, yeah, of course he made the deal with the Duke to save his wife and his child, but because he's still loyal to the Duke Leto, he's trying to help him by
Mhm.
saving his, he had to sacrifice Leto, but by saving his son and doing what he can to save his son and his wife, or his consort,
Yeah.
because they're not married,
Yeah.
Oh
by the
yeah.
way, they're
Right.
not married. But anyway, so and then he's like, okay, I'm going to replace your tooth, right, with this poisonous tooth,
Yeah.
and then your last breath will hopefully be the Baron's last breath, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't play out that way.
Didn't
super
work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
well. But the way I thought something they did that was really cool was the way that the Baron survived and he was like suspended in like a
Yeah,
cork
what
through the
was that?
ceiling.
That
I don't
reminded me
know.
Such a
of
creepy
Fucking
character.
Spider-Man.
that
dude.
reminded me of Hereditary, the scene where she's like up in the wall.
Yeah.
They just pan the camera up to it.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. When we first saw it, when he stood up, me and Jacqueline fucking started laughing. We thought it was like the cheesiest, non-scary thing ever. Like
Oh,
maybe
he's
because
so creepy.
we're just in the
dude.
comfort of our own home.
Yeah,
We're not like
yeah.
surrounded by it in IMAX. Like it was just like what? It was so
Okay.
weird. It was so weird.
Let me throw another couple layers on this. Okay, in the Lynch movie, in my opinion, the Baron and the Harkonnens, however you want to say it, are I think designed a little creepier and cooler.
Uh-huh.
The design there is more like leather sex outfit looking thing.
Bondage
With, like,
outfit.
with like nipple holes and stuff. It's like kind of more fucked up and perverted, right? And I think that works a little bit better, if you ask me. Okay, here's the other layer, and we haven't talked about this at all yet. There is this documentary, and I must insist that you guys watch this at some point. Okay, it's called Jodorowsky's Dune. Okay, and It's about this filmmaker, Alejandro Jodorowsky, who's he's actually Chilean randomly. He made all these weird ass movies, The Holy Mountain, El Topo, and then he wanted to make Dune. And him and this super team of badass, amazing artists, designers, cartoonists put together this book that was basically going to be the storyboard for the movie Dune. And they were never able to raise the money. It never got made.
This was in the 70s, right?
In the
Like
70s.
before Lynch, like
yeah.
pretty close to the book, kind of.
Yeah, but yeah, this was in the 70s. So, okay, this super team was Mobius, who is a very famous French cartoonist who they're adapting his story, The Incal, Taika Waititi. He's
Mobius.
Yeah, that's Mobius. Mobius is the artist
cool.
behind The Incal. Anyway, he's like a very, very famous French cartoonist. So you should check him out. Okay, another guy that they employed, and of course now I'm fucking forgetting his name, but is the same artist that did the Alien.
Oh,
design
H.R.
for
Geiger.
H.R. Geiger.
Yeah.
H.R. Geiger did all the designs for the Harkonnen. All of them.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're
so
amazing. Sick. Look them up online. The Harkonnen Castle and the way that they looked. And there's so much to me, I would love to see that vision of what the Harkonnens look like. Because that shit is demented. I mean, it's H.R. Geiger. So if you've ever seen his art, it's freakish combination of machine and metal and human. I don't know. It's really intense. But check out that documentary. It's like amazing. It's amazing. He basically put together the super team. When the movie didn't get made, they all split up and went and took a bunch of their ideas to other movies.
Oh wow!
Right? Like Geiger went to Alien. He used a lot of the designs he made for Dune in Alien with the ships and all this other stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, go check that out. And also, side note, when my twins were born, Iggy, the younger one, he had full head of hair. Frankie did not. He was pretty bald. And then when he started growing hair, it only grew sort of in the back of his head initially.
Like a mullet.
like Gerald Ford, I don't know, ex-president of the United States. It looked weird. And he was also way chubbier. So I definitely many times called him the Baron Harkonnen. He kind of looked like the Baron Harkonnen in the Lynch movie. So whatever. He turned out all right, but at the time.
Yeah. So how did you guys feel about the fighting and the shields? That was pretty interesting. I didn't fully understand the shields. They just prevent you from taking some lethal damage sometimes, but you can still.
It's like if the
blade
blade is fast, it'll just hit it, but if it goes slow, then it can just go right through it, basically.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. That's why.
That's why they turn it on when they're sparring, right?
Yeah.
Because it becomes easier to. Oh, sorry, guys.
Dude, Nader sent me a clip from the Lynch movie just to show me what the shields look like in that movie, and they are fucking horrible.
Really?
This movie, it's
really?
You see a little effect, and
it's
then
just
it's
an
gone.
aura, yeah, and then it's gone.
But they literally look like Minecraft characters, blocks for arms, big old boxes. They literally look like Minecraft characters. It's so fucking funny, dude.
Oh
That's
my god,
hilarious. But I thought they were really cool. That's a cool ass idea, and then seeing people get hurt, the red, they don't need blood and
the
shit.
lethal blow.
And when the tooth gets broken and the poison goes into the Baron's face and it just goes all red and freaks out. I was like, fuck, that's so sick, dude.
Yeah, it was interesting that he used his shield right when he leans in. Right before he leans in, he taps his finger for the shield.
Yeah.
I was like, fucker. I thought something about him, but
dude, that was something that I thought was crazy. Is a lot of people died in this movie that I don't know. I didn't think that many main characters would fucking die, and especially that scene, everyone fucking died.
Yeah, that was in the middle of the film, and it felt like the climax of the movie. And then after he dies, it's just like, oh shit, there's still like an hour left. Like that was just the beginning
Yeah,
of
I was
it.
so sad when Oscar Isaac died. I was like, damn, I want more of this guy
Yeah.
with his magnificent fucking beard.
Yeah. Speaking of magnificent beards, or maybe lack thereof, dude,
Oh,
Jason
God.
Momoa without a beard, man.
So weird.
I'm just like glad I'm not the only one who doesn't look this good without a beard. Because like he's such a handsome man, and then man,
especially because he
it was
had a
weird.
beard and then he didn't like later.
And then
I
he
was like, what the
shaved
fuck?
it later. Yeah, that was off-putting for me.
I thought he was great in the movie.
Oh no,
He was great.
amazing.
His
I thought he
beard
was
not
great.
being there wasn't though.
Well, you know, yeah. Yeah, I thought he was great. Again, you know, again, I like. Okay, Javier Bardem. I love Bardem. I think he's amazing. So many movies. Fucking No Country for Old Men, and then all the Spanish movies he did. Okay, he's great. But I felt like his accent was a little distracting, honestly.
Really?
You know, this one, especially when the rest of the Fremen don't have that accent.
Oh sure.
And
Oh yeah.
you know, like,
guess,
and it's just kind of like, you know, I don't know. It's like, dude, can you try to sound like a little bit like?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's like my dad. You know, my dad's Peruvian, and he's been here for like 35 years. I don't know, many years, right? And he would have thought by this point my dad like wouldn't be able to tell, but it's not true. You can still tell, right? So
Yeah.
Bardem is still in that zone, I think.
Is that who he plays? Kynes? Is that his name?
Bardem plays the
Bardem Stilgar.
Oh,
That his
Stilgar.
name?
Okay.
the leader.
Yeah.
The leader of the Fremen.
That
Yeah.
spits
The guy
on the table.
who spits on the table. Yeah.
That shit
Which was
funny.
which was silly. Like, you know, he does the spit and he's like, "Oh, you're offering the moisture of your body." Like it's a
Oscar
positive
Isaac's
message.
is fucking hilarious.
Well, that's how they make the drink, right? In that
Oh,
that
God, it's so
ceremony,
gross.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, I think I know where he got that shit, though. By the way.
Oh, is it
I know-
Norse?
No,
or-
well, it could be. I don't know.
Because they do that with the seers. They all spit in the thing.
Okay, maybe that's it. Okay, so in Peru, there's this drink that's like a corn beer, right? Like, so basically, it's like corn fermented, and then it's like you drink it like beer, right?
Mhm.
Wait, it used to be made back in the day that the women of the village would like chew the corn,
Oh man,
chew it up,
spit
and
it out.
spit it
I
out.
think I've seen this in
and
an
then
anime.
And then that would ferment,
Wow.
and that is called chicha. That's
We
called
have
chicha.
seen it in an anime.
Oh, it's your name.
Oh,
Your
your
name.
name.
Damn.
Yeah.
They do that, but it has
That's
to
like
be off of
rice, not
virtue,
corn.
right?
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I was
Dude.
thinking maybe they got it from that. I don't
In
know.
the Eternals movie, one of the characters makes a drink like that. It's fucking funny.
Dude,
Oh,
there's
it was
some
in Wild
Korean
Boys too.
drinks.
Frankie, it was in Wild Boys, but I bet they were in Peru. I bet that's where they did it. That's hilarious. Okay, all right. Anyway, just as a theory, I have no idea if that's actually true or not.
Right.
Yeah, with the Norse, I think like when they're getting a reading or whatever by the seer, they both spit into like a communal cup, and they have to drink from it for like the fortune to be true or whatever. kind of
You
thing.
know, what's the deal with this like sharing of fluids to
Saliva?
make a pact? I've never gotten that, right?
It's like
Like you know,
yeah,
cutting
the
your
blood
hand.
oath.
Blood
Yeah.
brothers.
What the fuck is the point of that? Like, what about just like, yo, I'm gonna definitely do that. Are you with me? You're with me? Okay, cool. Like, what about that?
I feel like it's always like an
Yeah,
intimidation thing. It feels like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know.
Well, maybe it's to like let people know that you're serious about it too. You know, like you
I'm
don't cut your
serious.
hand and shake hands. I'm serious.
I'm
serious,
serious, bro.
it's
I
like-
need to cut myself.
Yeah,
Damn, dude, like-
the film fumblers have never had a blood oath, but maybe that's what's wrong. Maybe we need
I'm
to
serious.
get together.
Next time we're in person, cut our
All right,
hands.
Yeah.
I'll break this glass.
I'm not
Oh,
trying to cut
gosh.
my hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
that is very strange.
That's,
Strange.
it's different in Dune, right? Because it's I guess the spitting on the table isn't, but like when they're making the drink, that's like they just have to do that, right?
I thought that I thought that they were doing that because it was like the only way that they could get.
There's so
water.
little moisture, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy, dude. Speaking
And
of
then they keep the palm trees in the front of that.
That's what I
castle.
was gonna say.
Yeah.
What was with
It's so
that?
funny.
Wasting all the goddamn water on these palm trees.
I guess
all
because
it's
it's
like,
like
bro.
a-
It's a lot of people
Yeah,
could drink
well,
this
he
water.
explains it briefly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
He's
what
just
was
like
the what was it?
the explanation is like, I don't know, they've been here a long time. Like
It's just my job, man. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm with Paul. Yeah, like what the fuck, man? What are we doing here? You know, like these
Yeah, it
are
was
all
like
these
we could
people.
keep like 12 men alive a day. Like that's enough
Right,
water for
right.
whatever.
So
Strange.
another beautiful scene that I remember is, well, there were two separate scenes with the kangaroo mouse,
Hmm.
and I don't know, I just loved, like, because you basically you see how it uses the ears to like collect the
To get the
moisture,
moisture, yeah.
and then the moisture collects and it licks them, and that's how it survives, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
and that's, I mean, you know, that's what the allegory to the Fremen, right? It's like they have these like suits, and they're so well adapted to the desert. They've been in
Hmm.
the desert, survived in the desert for so long. The really cool sort of details about the desert walk, which,
Oh, that was cool.
so I thought it was one of those things where I thought that you can really look stupid and look corny, because it's supposed to be like a non-rhythmic walk, right?
Right.
Like it's like you have to sort of, it has to be a little
Uh,
chaotic, right?
Hmm.
yeah,
Because if it's too rhythmic, it attracts sandworms.
Yeah.
right.
Um,
But it's the same four steps over and over. Is that what you're
right.
getting at?
Well, I was just, you know, it's like if you've ever watched Seinfeld, like the, you know, the Elaine dance, right? It's like really like, whatever, I don't know. It's
Mm,
really
yeah.
lame. Um,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was a little bit concerned that when they were gonna do the desert walk, it was gonna look really fucking stupid. Um, but it looked fine. It was all right.
That was cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then that little, I love the little gadgets that they have. Like the one that they put in the ground to like the thumper
The
or
thumper,
whatever.
yeah.
That was sick. Like it was cool that they didn't have computers, but they still had this like really interesting technology that they would work with, and that yeah, it really
Yeah,
worked.
like the suits, dude. Like that is so
Yeah,
interesting. Like holy fuck. But like,
yeah, the
I
suits
guess
are
in
so
the
awesome.
book, because like in the movie, they're just like, oh, it's your sweat and your tears, you know. But like in the book, it's like, no, it's your shit and your piss and like everything else.
Oh
That's
It's
god.
like
everything.
they're not gonna
That's
make you.
everything.
It's fucking gross. Fucking
Okay,
nasty.
so you know, this movie is, what was the rating? It's PG-13. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, so how did they make it PG-13?
There's just
There
no
were a couple
blood.
of shots. There were a couple of shots where, well, there's blood, some,
I mean, not
right?
like a
Like,
lot. A lot.
right.
Yeah.
There were a couple of shots where they kind of just cut away, right? Like Harkonnen, the Baron, like, you know, breaking the doctor's neck, right? There's a couple of other shots where they just kind of cut away. You just don't see
Right.
things
Yeah.
happen.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but the other thing they do is with the shields. And
Mm.
like
Hmm.
when people get like, you know, sliced up with, you know, and they're wearing the shields, it looks, oh, sorry guys. It looks a little bit like uh it doesn't look as violent as
Yeah.
the
They just
actual
turn. They
Yeah,
shield.
glow
yeah. I
red.
was mentioning that
Yeah.
earlier. Like you can still tell when they get hit because it's just red, but it's not like gore. It's just like, yeah, I don't know, a way to show that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um.
What do you guys think of the music?
Uh,
The
I like
screaming
some
and
of like the
singing.
screaming shit that's
Yeah.
like all distorted as fuck. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but
Dude, I thought it was so
But
epic.
sometimes I don't know. Like I said, I was like, I don't know if I want it to be so fucking loud. So when I watch it in IMAX, I'm gonna be like, Jesus Christ, it's too
Dude,
fucking
the
loud.
part I was
But
thinking
maybe
about,
not. I don't know.
I thought it was fucking made it so epic, dude. Every time it'd come on, you're
Yeah,
like, oh fuck, something crazy is happening.
just fucking
Like
getting
the
blasted.
scene where the Bene Gesserit's ship is leaving, and they're just like in
Hmm.
that like nothingness room. I don't fucking know. It's just that white ship leaving,
Yeah,
and the music just comes on.
yeah,
That shit was mind blowing in theaters,
yeah.
dude. Oh my god.
Just fucking
Yeah.
epic.
Yeah. Just the sound in general. Like in that clip we were talking about earlier, that YouTube video where Denis Villeneuve is talking about the box scene, and there's like that scream that I think
Yeah,
it was Hans Zimmer made that scream with
yeah,
like a bunch, like compressing a bunch of screams from a real human, and it was like
Oh,
it's
when
so
Paul
eerie.
looks
Yeah.
up and like stops like feeling the pain or whatever. Oh, it's
yeah,
so
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
dude.
It's yeah,
yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like my favorite part or my favorite like concept in this was definitely the voice and like how that works. And it was cool how Paul is still learning how to use it. And my favorite scene has to be when they're in that ship and they're like
Oh,
tied down and she gets to finally use the voice on people and like he's trying to use the voice. Fucking
Yeah.
sick. Like
what she
so
say?
so
Your
brutal.
pitch was wrong or something.
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
fucks it up the first time. Gosh, he
Yeah.
just tells people to stab themselves in the throat, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
That's brutal.
Yeah, and then it's like
that was brutal.
it's like the one of them is deaf or whatever, and it's like, oh fuck, can't use the voice on. And like I was like,
Oh,
oh
yeah,
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Tells the other
dude.
person kill him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she tells him to kill him. Yeah, that's cool. And then they're also signing the whole time too, which was really
Dude, that was the
interesting,
thing, I guess. In the book, they just like fucking mind to mind talk to each other or some weird shit. Like something you can't do on
Oh,
film, so
okay.
they invented that for the movie, and I thought that was perfect, dude. It was so
Yeah, it
cool.
worked. It
Yeah.
worked really well.
Huh.
It was cool.
And then
So what about?
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
the scene when they're in the tent, Paul and Jessica.
Yeah.
So fucking emotional, tense, and then when he uses the voice on her, it's just like, oh fuck, it's like a jump scare almost. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, to go back to I don't know if you would call this music, but it's definitely still within sound. That like Mongolian throat singing
The
scene,
beginning,
like
sorry,
no,
yeah,
it was like towards the middle,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
where
yeah.
they're home ringing, like that. It's so weird. It's like I couldn't take it seriously. Like it was like kind of funny, but yeah, Brian
first,
showed me
yeah.
this. He showed me this YouTube video where they do it, but they're like cheeseburger,
Yeah,
like,
I've seen that.
like that.
It's so funny.
It's like
The narrator
damn
just said it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. We're gonna have to watch it. We're gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit like that where it's like it feels like it should be cheesy, like right, but like I don't know. I just like went for it like on everything, dude. I didn't think anything was cheesy.
Yeah, I think for the
I don't
most
know.
part it definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
Like even like Alonso was saying, the walk, it did work.
There's parts that were cheesy to me, but most of it like worked. Most of it worked. So, see, I don't even know if I really like the voice, but like I feel like if I hear it in IMAX, it's gonna be like a totally different like thing. I feel like it's gonna be a totally different animal.
Yeah,
for sure.
Alonso said he'll be right back. I don't know.
Yeah,
he said sorry for
getting a couple of phone calls.
So I don't know. I don't know if we keep stalling. I don't know.
The end,
Are you guys anything
I don't
dying?
know. I guess I just wanted to shout out Denis Villeneuve. Probably my favorite director, right? Like as of right now, dude. Like Blade Runner 2049 is my favorite fucking movie ever, and he's done like Sicario, Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't he say like all of that was kind of to prepare him to be able to do Dune?
Yeah, and then like
That's so cool.
Before they even started making this or like confirmed it or anything, he would say that stuff. He's like, I want to do Dune, like that's what I want to do, and I was like, dude, like if that's your passion project, like I cannot wait to fucking see that. That is so cool.
Yeah. In that interview, like he talks about that, how he wanted to make a movie like for the fans, but when you do that, like it can kind of be pandering and all of these things. So he kind of mentions that he's just like, I wanted to make it for like me as a child, like something that I would have approved as a teenager, loving this novel so much. And like, I mean, you see it, like it is definitely a passion project. There was a lot of love that went into it for sure.
Yeah. A lot of detail, and it's gotta suck to have to cut shit out and like pick and choose.
But it was such a good choice to make it like part one,
the balls on him to put part one at the beginning when they didn't know if they're gonna make the second one or not.
Yeah, I know.
Like, please, dude.
They confirmed it like right after it released, though, right? Because the box office did really well.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Well, I don't know. It made over the budget, like so.
Yeah, it made more than Blade Runner did in like one weekend, I think.
Oh, really?
Not that fast. Maybe like a couple weeks.
But...
Yeah, that's it. But it feels like people, I don't know, like the people that I've seen that I don't think would like be into movies being like Dune is fucking awesome and shit. I'm like, that's crazy. Like it feels like
You're saying you have seen that, or you
Yeah, I
haven't?
have seen that. Like,
Oh,
I'm like curious
interesting.
what my mom thinks because she went to the theater and saw it too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, I'm
I'm
just
curious
so
as
like
well. Yeah.
surprised, I guess, that this movie kind of broke through the mainstream a little bit, and it was like
Mhm.
in advertisements, like see all the action, like at Regal and stuff, and it would show like a Dune clip, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
it's kind of
I
weird.
mean,
It's like,
giant sandworms, they'll get people in the
yeah,
theaters.
it's like the most like indie box blockbuster ever. I feel like,
Think so?
because it is a
I mean,
blockbuster,
well,
like it's
to
fucking
be,
huge, but
Yeah.
it's
I
like,
feel like it's hard to call it an indie when you've got Timothy
no, yeah,
Chalamet and Diaz, Oscar Isaac,
exactly.
Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like
the
indie was
cast is,
like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, the concept of it, like just
The concept and the
yeah,
history
And the
behind
like
Dune
no
being like this
CG,
impossible.
everything, no holding your hand, like that kind of stuff. I feel like that
yeah,
blockbusters
yeah.
do not do anymore.
Yeah.
Right. No, nothing was really like overly explained
Yeah,
as we kind of mentioned at the beginning, but yeah, the cast alone, I mean, was definitely also enough to get people in
yeah. I remember
to
back
watch.
probably a year or two ago when they announced Timothy Chalamet. I was like, oh man, it's that fucking pretty boy, all this stuff, and like,
Oh, you were
well, because
upset
I
about it
didn't
a little
like
bit?
know about him. I just knew that he was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that hot guy that everyone loved, you know.
The up and comer.
Yeah,
Up
I
and
had seen him in
coming.
like Lady Bird, and that's it. And I was just like, damn, that's kind of
He's
crazy,
in
right?
Call Me by Your Name. Is that right?
Yeah, he's in
No.
that too. I haven't
Okay.
seen that, but
Yeah.
and then like seeing that video when he was like, that was the first thing they shot was the boxing, and he's just like so worried, and then like they did it, and he was like, oh, thank God, I found the perfect Paul for this, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
okay, cool, that's awesome.
Dude, but isn't he like too skinny? Isn't he
Well,
like
he's supposed to be like 15, isn't he?
but he's supposed to like be like this badass fighter and shit. He'd get crumpled by like anybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
James,
crumples the other guy, bro.
He's just too
Shit.
lanky. I mean, that's fine.
James, I was meaning to ask you. I was meaning to ask you about this. Like, this is kind of the story of like a rich entitled dude, like getting his chance to be like the emperor.
Yeah.
You know, like
Emperor's
or ascending to power, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I think say I'm not gonna hate on this movie because I don't think I'm in the same area where you three are. I think it's okay. I think the politics are pretty interesting about it, actually.
Yeah.
But there's something that it doesn't bother me that he's like this rich kid going into power. I think they did that like pretty well, like um just because like his parents aren't really married, right? And so like he has
Yeah.
like, this kind of weird disconnect from actually being royalty. I think he's like known that his whole life. And so it's like kind of interesting for him to like come to like terms with that responsibility. So I think it's fine. But I think
Character's journey, but
yeah,
it's just that he. I mean, like especially I was thinking about when he's basically ordering around, like, you know, what's his name? I keep fucking forgetting his name. Josh
Gurney.
Brolin, Gurney, and then also when he tells the Reverend Mother, "How dare you use the voice?"
Oh
of
yeah.
Oh yeah.
a couple of moments where it comes like the kind of
Spoiled
like
brat kid. Yeah,
comes out a little
I
bit,
guess.
you know.
I feel like there's enough that they do to make it the opposite of that though. Like where he's like, oh, he's like seems like an actual good person. Where he's like worried about the people that are outside, worried about the
Yeah.
water being used on these trees, and like and especially his dad too. Like he's not like a pompous rich asshole. He's like trying to help the Fremen and stuff. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they do enough of that to
Yeah.
make you root
I
for
mean, how
them.
many-
To make it not a spoiled rich kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many movies how many movies are there that you can think of, right, where the premise is it's a spoiled kid who has to go out into the real world, fucking do real shit,
Yeah.
right? And only then has he earned the right, like, you know, like has he truly earned the right to lead rather than just be entitled to it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
That's like I feel like a really common thing, and like just bringing this back to religion, right? In some ways, isn't that like the story of the Buddha, right? It's like
Yeah,
like
he
that's
was
like
really rich. Yeah.
is a
Emperor or
entitled
whatever.
prince.
Yeah.
He had to go out into the forest and eat like a grain of rice a day, right before he found the middle path, right?
Mhm.
And became enlightened. So again, and I don't think that's a coincidence, by the way. That narrative and like that larger idea,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a connection there too.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
Lion
thought you were
King.
gonna. I thought you were gonna hate on that from that standpoint.
No, the only thing I'm like really hating on is that I just feel like there's maybe just not enough time. I keep saying this, that this would have just been better as a TV show. I think
Oh man.
if they gave more time to let you actually care about all the fucking people who die in the movie. Like honestly, I was left unmoved by all the deaths. There was not enough like for me to
Yeah.
like feel for them.
Not even
And
Jason Momoa, dude, going out.
no, dude.
Also, they did
They
amazing.
didn't
glory.
care that fucking Dunkin'
Dunkin'
coffee
Donuts.
died.
Dunkin'
Dunkin'
Coffee.
Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't. There wasn't enough screen time, and when you read the book, that's what it is. You're just like, holy shit. There's like way more to
Oh,
just
yeah.
like this shell. Like that's
Right.
my biggest problem with the movie is that they just like didn't have enough personality between each other for me to like actually care that they died.
Look, I think if the movie is a good Trojan horse for people to read the book, cool.
Why
Yep.
not? Why
That's
not?
fair.
Right? Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is, they did do a Dune TV series, by the way. It was on Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
and
trash.
it is, yeah, it is.
They weren't ready.
But like, give me
They are making a Dune show, by the way.
Villeneuve, whatever. Give me him as competent as he is, and give me it an hour every Sunday on HBO Max.
I don't know. Dude.
They are
See-
making a
see,
show,
Oh,
by the
you don't
way,
know?
about the Bene
They are?
Gesserit, I think.
Oh,
the Bene Gesserit?
And Denis Villeneuve is directing the first episode, producing it or something.
Oh wow.
So,
good.
So-
Okay.
so
good.
here's
I'm
the thing,
excited
right?
for that.
this is my argument against the TV show, right? My argument, honestly, and I know this is controversial and no one's going to agree with me, is it should be like a 6-hour movie.
That's my only complaint, is that this movie is not
Intermission,
the longest
intermission,
movie ever. Yeah.
high school intermission, right? Like you go out, take a piss, like get yourself some more popcorn. I don't know, whatever. And
6 hours.
but like okay, the reason is that like with a TV show, an hour format TV show, like just the expectation is for the fucking like story to like keep going and keep going and keep going, and like it becomes
End on
way
a
more about
cliffhanger every
Yeah,
fucking
every
hour.
fucking
hour.
exactly.
I
And
guess,
it becomes
okay,
way
yeah.
more about the story, and I feel like the novel is like really poetic, right? And like to me, that's what I liked about this movie, was that it kept, I thought, some of the, like the poetry of like with the visuals, right? Not necessarily with the dialogue, but with the visuals, like with the spice. The way the spice was depicted was kind of cool, different from the way Lynch depicted it, right? So I don't know. You know, for me, like if it was a TV show, I could just imagine it being like, oh yeah, wait till you see what happens on the next episode, and then
Yeah.
it takes me out of like being in the world of Dune, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I could see that.
And it's like a type of thing you have to see on the big screen, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
you miss out. Okay.
All right.
I don't
We
know.
ready to rate this thing?
Yeah,
do it.
I guess. I don't even know what I think about it, dude.
I know.
I
me
really
neither.
don't.
No, I kind of don't either. It's funny.
I don't know.
Well,
Who
do you
wants
wanna go
I
first
don't
on
want to go
Wednesday?
first.
Yeah.
I really like trying to think
I
about
know.
it.
I could go first. I know how
Go
I
ahead,
feel.
Taryn. I think Taryn should go first.
Go ahead.
So
The bull nader says.
oh,
So, we're not going to talk about the bull? Okay, fine, fair enough. Go ahead.
this is probably the movie that I've been most excited for, like maybe ever. After seeing Blade Runner, hearing that this guy's making another epic ass sci-fi movie about something that he loves deep in his heart, I was like, this is gonna be fucking amazing. Like no matter what, like I feel like I went into it like, no, it can't be bad. There's no fucking way it can be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I didn't think there was anything bad about it. Like especially listening to a bunch of interviews with him and stuff, it's like the text is so dense and like so much detail and backstory and stuff and like lore, like world building. He's like, I just wanted to focus on the relationship between Paul and Jessica. Like that's like the main narrative of this movie. Like he didn't want to detail all the other stuff because it would get too convoluted and stuff. And I think that he did that really well. Like unlike James, I guess I was like really sucked in and like invested in like basically every character, maybe besides Josh Brolin, because he's just kind of like a meathead guy that was annoying all the time, trying to kill everyone that walked anywhere near them. It was kind of weird, but
Yeah.
Taran, just
He was
wait
invested in the family, dude. He
Taran,
loved
just
the
wait.
family.
Wait until the.
Oh, no spoilers. No spoilers.
yeah, no
Oh,
future
okay,
spoilers.
okay.
Yeah, I think this movie is gorgeous, dude. Like seeing it in IMAX. I saw it twice in theaters. I saw IMAX and the regular one. Like just seeing the ships and everything just so goddamn big. Like it just was mind blowing. I don't know. Like there's not like a lot of stuff that does that. Really, like even like all these Marvel movies, like Eternals is supposed to be this big cosmic story, and it's just like not as epic as this at all. Like,
Yeah.
and I love that he insists so often on not using CG whenever they can't, like whenever they can do practical. Like you just never, like a lot of it, I'm like, what is even CG? I can't fucking tell. Like obviously, like some shit is like the ships and stuff, but like if I didn't know any better, like I wouldn't fucking, I don't know, like I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
It's just like such a seamless blend of CG and practical that it's just, I don't know, like visually this movie is fucking perfect. I think like the dragonfly ships we didn't even talk about, that's like the coolest
Oh,
shit.
the Thopters.
So
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Those were
about
cool.
that.
Oh, those ships were amazing. Yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk about that. That was like such a cool, interesting approach. Have you ever seen ships like that in
No.
any of these sci-fi movies?
No.
And it's so clever, right? Because like that's like totally you're trying to simulate like the natural world, right? I mean, yeah. Anyway,
So
go ahead.
cool. Yeah, I guess my only complaint is what Alonso said. I wish it was just part 1 and 2 at once, and it was 4 to 6 hours long. That's my only complaint. Because I can't fucking wait for part 2, man. Like, 2 years is gonna be a while. It's gonna be a rough wait. Yeah, I don't know. Denis Villeneuve with Hans Zimmer, they can't do no wrong. I guess I'll rate it like it's like a 9.1, dude. I fucking love this shit.
Nice.
Nice.
9.1 out of 10. Who wants to go next? You want to go, Alonso? You ready?
Yeah, I could.
Go for it.
Yeah, great conversation. I think honestly, like,
Nady.
I'm trying to think of, the things that I didn't like about this movie. Like dwell on those. Okay, here's one. Taran, you said Denis Villeneuve, or whatever, however the hell you say his name, and Hans Zimmer can't go wrong. Okay, so there's
When
this
they're
thing,
together, I don't know if that is.
there's this thing that I've noticed. There's this thing that I've noticed. It started like around 9/11, around the time, like around 2001 in movies, right? Where if a movie takes place and there's like desert around, you gotta have some wailing Arab woman, like,
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And like I
good.
feel like that's like almost a cliche at this point. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely a
Yeah.
trope for sure.
Yeah.
and that came off. I know. Okay, yes, this book invokes all this like kind of Arab mythology, right?
Right,
And,
yeah.
and then and Islam and the story of Muhammad and all that stuff, and it's in Arrakis. The basically the bulk of the story in this movie is in Arrakis. Get it? It's just still sounded a little cliche. Like I was kind of hoping that they would go in a different direction, honestly, than the dude in the desert wailing Arab woman like sound.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a missed opportunity there. But yeah, I get it, Nader. I mean, I get it. I understand. I understand why they did it. It's not that it doesn't make any sense. I just felt like there was a chance to like do something more cooler.
But what about the bagpipes? Where you
Oh,
go
that
back-
was so weird.
Yeah, that was random.
weird. That was totally random. Yeah, well, yeah. Hey, Nader, you singing that? Like that's like it's like Sting's "Desert Rose." Have you ever heard that stupid song? Oh, we should play it.
Is it
after
for the
we're done
Dune movie, or
recording.
is it just some other song?
No, it's just a
Okay.
lame ass Sting song, you know. But and it has a
Lame
wailing Arab dude. Anyway, so
Yeah.
no. Okay, so that annoyed me. I'm really struggling to think of like what else. Like the Baron he was menacing and cold and evil calculated evil in this movie. I feel like in the book, and keep in mind it's been like over 10 years since I read it, he's a little bit more decadent and perverted, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Right? So like, so okay, so he's fat and he's eating in this movie, but that's like one scene. Right? And I think in the Lynch movie they show that off a little bit more, like this, just how disgustingly like gross
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
is, and I think in the book also he's sort of portrayed more like that. I don't think they nailed that right. I think it went more cold evil, like unspeakably brutal and evil, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And less like decadent and
Yeah,
like
because he's like,
disgusting.
yeah, he's supposed to be more like he's just a guy who is greedy as fuck. Like
Yes,
he sucks Arrakis dry. Like he's just fucking glutton, like incarnate. And they make
right,
him more like dark and slimy and like sinister in the movie, kind of.
right,
Yeah.
right. And like even um I think it was supposed to, I read somewhere it's like supposed to be kind of like, it's supposed to be like Rome before Rome fell, right? Like it's like the way that their
Mm.
Harkonnens are supposed to be like depicted, right? Like just like opulence and whatever, right? And decadence. So, that didn't land, I think, the way it could have, and I felt like the novel did a really good job of that. I mean, other than that, dude, made a lot of great choices. It's a beautiful movie. If it encourages more people to read Dune, awesome. I've been quoting Dune my whole fucking life. I have a painting of Arrakis right there. Um, and and there's just a lot of beautiful things in this story, and I don't know, I feel like it's been a like important part of my life like for a long time, and I thought it was true largely. I thought it was true to the spirit of that. I'm excited to see, like, to me, like, this is the appetizer, right? Like this is the
Yeah.
appetizer because
Mm.
the beautiful good shit happens later. And then from what
And
I've
that's what
read,
I'm hoping for. That's where
uh,
I'm at.
what I've read of what happens in the sequels, because I don't care about spoilers, by the way. Um, what I've read about what happens in the sequels, it complicates what happens in Dune, in the novel.
Mm.
And I'm actually really interested to see if Dune 2 has success. Are they going to make Children of Dune? And because from what I understand, Children of Dune, a lot of crazy shit happens that would really complicate this whole hero's journey thing.
Mm.
So are they gonna go? Are they gonna have Timothy Chalamet like do that? That's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, but I think overall it was a good. Overall, I thought it was a good effort. I thought the performances were great. I thought it looked beautiful. There were times when I was like blown away in the IMAX for sure. Like there were just times where it's like that feeling of like when you're in a theater and you're just like, wow, what am I seeing? This is amazing. And like the landing on Arrakis to me was just like over the top beautiful. There were these little details like the hovering landing of the Artazar, and there's just these little details where I was just like, man, I think they really got it right. The passage through the sandstorm
Oh yeah.
thought was also really beautiful and well done. Um, I don't
About
know.
the butthole worm.
Dude, we didn't
Butthole
talk about the
worm.
worm.
We didn't even
Or
talk about
Zendaya.
the worm.
Only if you got to talk about the meme. I'm not familiar with all the memes or whatever. But no, I like for me like I don't know. There have been more blood, maybe. Because like to me, like, well, it's like to me like PG-13. I understand. Okay, we're trying we're trying to make this movie make a bunch of money, and like it doesn't really just take away from the story to like make it like fairly bloodless. Okay, got it. That said, the Lynch movie was a lot more violent, a lot more weird and disturbing. Like for me, like especially the Harkonnens, like they're really supposed to be fucked up. H.R. Geiger designed them. Okay, like
Yeah.
they're supposed to be very fucked up, right? All that said, I'm gonna go 8.7. I'm gonna give this an 8.7.
Okay.
Yeah.
8.7 from Alonso. James, did you want to go next? Or do you want to go last?
I can go. Yeah,
Go
I
for
think
it.
I'm ready. Yeah, and I don't think it could be stated enough that it's visually one of the craziest movies I've seen in a while. My only thing visually towards the end, like the color grading was just so. What color was that? Blue, gray?
Like when they're
Like
like
it
it's kind
was.
of nighttime when that scene with the
Yeah,
worm.
yeah. During
Yeah,
the
in the
nighttime,
trailer, it's like during the day. They changed it for the trailer, I think.
yeah, it's like at night and it's like very saturated gray and it's kind of hard to see. That's where I was like, oh shit, that kind of sucks.
Hmm.
But I bet you it would have looked good on IMAX. But
Yeah.
um, just all the attention to detail and all that kind of stuff that you guys are talking about. At first, I was like, okay, this is like 45 minutes of ships flying and landing and like setting up, and I was like, okay, I was like, we fucking get it. There's traveling happening, but yeah, I don't know. It on the first watch, I wasn't really convinced. I was like, this is like not that great. But the more I kept thinking about it, the more I was actually like, okay, let me see what the fuck everybody's on about. Let me start reading this shit. And you know, I think
Did you end up watching it again or no?
I didn't end up
Oh,
watching it again. I didn't. But I'm going to definitely do it in the theaters. Um but yeah, I just felt like there was just a little bit missing story wise, and I was wondering, I was like, is this how it is in the book? Like, do people just drop like flies and you're not supposed to feel anything about it? But I feel like the way the book's going for me now is there's a lot more interpersonal relationships, so I like that. But I don't know. It maybe could have just been a little bit longer of a movie if they could flesh out
Yeah.
and make the deaths make more sense to me. Make it that much more like heartbreaking, that Paul's alone now basically,
yeah.
and he has to do the damn thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think all the politics stuff is kind of fun, and just like the whole like, what is it an allegory if it's like the spice is the oil? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like the real life like implications and just like the entire backstory of how like they had to kill the robots. That's fucking crazy. I know. I hope
Yeah.
they like
Badass.
go into that more.
That's cool.
But for me, I don't know. For me, I think it's like 7.8. I think it's
Okay.
beautiful, but I think um
It's like half
the
a movie,
actions,
maybe, feels like to you.
yeah, it just doesn't feel 100% fleshed out. It's very beautiful, but it needs a little work to get me to like really love the characters. And like the what Alonso was explaining, if this is just like the tidbit of
Yeah.
what's to come, then I'm ready, sold. I'm in. I'm buying in.
Yeah. Um,
Nice.
I don't know if you want to do it before or after your review, but Nader's last comment is something I wanted to talk about and forgot. It's very fucking interesting, I think. Basically, talking about like Paul's visions and stuff. The first time I watched it, they were very confusing because it's like, aren't you supposed to be friends with the guy that he kills at the end? All that stuff, all the Zendaya
Yeah.
stuff, and like, I guess it's supposed to be like, the second time it was like more like he's changing his fate himself. Like he sees that's what's gonna happen. He's like, no, I'm gonna fucking not die here. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
yeah.
fucking cool.
Yeah, just different futures that could happen if
Yeah.
he chose to do things certain way.
Yeah. All right. So 7.8 out of James. We'll go ahead and take over. I think one of the most impressive things about this movie for me was the fact that Denis Villeneuve was a huge fan, read this book when he was like 14, fell in love, was really, really wanted to direct this movie. And the fact that he kind of made this movie for himself as a teenager, as a fan, and that it was still really interesting to a wide audience. The fact that he balanced that, I think, just makes this movie like a really big success for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the cast was just amazing. That was another big reason why I feel like so many people were down to see it. It was just completely stacked. The acting was amazing. I don't know. I maybe I'm just not like the biggest sci-fi fan. So this movie didn't like completely like, wow, this is like I don't know. This just wasn't like 100% my movie, but I did love it and it was beautiful. Like my favorite things again still just being the voice and like how that was portrayed. I honestly wish I watched this in IMAX to hear how like deep that was and how harsh that was, but yeah, it was just super interesting. And I think kudos to them for making the movie like not only like appealing to a wider audience, but also you could understand the story without just being like, oh, cool, there's giant sandworms and action. Like, that's why I'm going to go see it. But you
Yeah.
actually understand, like, okay, like, there's a lot of and cool for like making politics a very boring topic to be like palatable and
Yeah.
watchable,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know? And like, you understand, like, all right, there's this planet, there's this stuff called spice, it's oil, but it gets these people who like live out there high. It's all there. You understand a very very complex universe like relatively simple, simply like they don't hold your hand through it, which is something that we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
It's very simple and it really works, and I think it was pleasing to the casual fan, and it also worked for like the more hardcore fans. So yeah, I mean it was fun. It was a fun watch. um I am excited to see part two. I'm excited to see more of the Fremen because I think that it didn't dive into them like a whole lot, like Zendaya's character and everything. And I think I'm really interested to see how more of those people, and I don't know, the ending of this one seemed like we're definitely going to get that in part two. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, this one is an 8.3 out of 10.
Nice.
So that brings us to an 8.4, 8.475
Nice.
collectively. Yeah, pretty solid score. To be honest, I didn't really think this one was going to get to the Hall of Fame, but still, 8.4 is still a really strong score.
Solid.
Yeah. So next week we will be reviewing 12 Angry Men.
The
We-
original. Apparently, there's a remake. So.
Oh, is there a remake? Yeah, it's 57, I think you said.
Yeah.
1957. Yeah,
Oh.
really old movie. I think our oldest movie.
I think so.
It's in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. We will be reviewing the movie live on twitch.tv/filmfumblers. That will be on November 21st at approximately 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure you're following all of our socials, especially our Instagram at filmfumblers. Find all of our other socials at filmfumblers.com. And yeah, thanks to Alonso, special guest, joined us again.
He's not here, but check out Your Mission podcast. They talk
Yeah,
about
check
a bunch
out
of
Your
different
Mission
kinds of
pod.
music. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.